Hi Gemini, this is your horoscope for September and October 2014 with me, Lada, from Lada. And this is for everyone who have their ascendant sun or moon in Gemini. But make sure you check at least your ascendant sign is the astrologically most, gives you the most tangible events because it's the most specific one. And you can find it out at my birth chart calculator what your ascendant sign is. And I'm putting September and October together because there are like some processes which are flowing from one month to the other, and they're interconnected, interdependent. So you get a bigger picture, like the whole picture as well. And because I'm at my honeymoon, so I didn't have time to make both the months. But anyway, the first big trend that is happening starting from September, carrying on the whole of September, the whole of October, and even till the middle of November, is that Mercury goes for 2.5 months into your 5th house. And it's rare for Mercury to stay so long in one place. Usually it might happen once every 10, 12 years sometimes, you know, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. But this is a rare opportunity for you to put in order the affairs of your 5th house, because Mercury is the manager, the organizer, the practical examiner, analyzer. It looks at things rationally and puts them into order, and can even make a house very productive, very efficient. And 5th house is, first of all, creative house. So some of you in September, starting from September, continuing to October and the whole of November, might be starting to put some hobby of theirs or some creative talent that they have, to put it into something more practical, to make out of it something more, even a business, because Mercury rules business, to make it like, give them, Mercury rules skills, any kind of skills. And when it stays for so long in the 5th house, you can take more control of your skills and maybe turn them into business even, and these can be creative skills usually, because 5th house is creativity. 5th house is using your creative intelligence and your own vision to create something in your own personal individuality, putting your soul and heart into something. And it doesn't have to be even painting, music, or writing that you can turn into something more productive. You can put more order in it, in your creative processes. You can make yourself a schedule and follow it, and become much more efficient with a hobby or creative project, or improve your skills there. Well, Mercury is in the 5th house. But at the same time, anyone who has their own business, or anyone who posts on YouTube or writes articles, or it all requires creativity. Anyone who is self-employed, this is 5th house area, because self-employed person, whatever, even if they're selling matchsticks, it needs creativity for them to invent the processes of how the company is working. So Mercury retrograde and staying for 2.5 months there can be very productive months for a lot of Gemini who have their own business. They can make it more practical, they can make it more efficient, and they can make creative processes or creative interests of theirs more useful to others. They can take a creative thing and make it useful, basically. This is what Mercury does. And restructure their creative processes in a better way to be more efficient with them, with their creative time, or making a hobby into something more useful as well. Another thing, well, it's also improving your skills and creativity as well. That can happen in 2.5 months where Mercury is there. And 5th house rules children as well. So it might be that a child of yours, a child of yours has a very mercurial time, maybe starting some education. You have to pay attention. Mercury is planet of teaching, of learning, of studying. You might have to help your child with education somehow. It might be a big period in regards to Mercury matters into the life of your child, where it's starting to develop certain skills, like playing an instrument, like developing some skills, some knowledge, some information, maybe some traveling that it does. Mercury is a planet of mobility and traveling. So this is another influence. This is another, not influence, another possibility of Mercury in the being retrograde in your 5th house. Okay, so this is one of the trends. The next trend that is happening is that Mars goes for Gemini in their 7th house, starting from the middle of September till the end of October. That's another big trend. And Mars goes into your 7th house, Gemini, once every 2.5 years. It's not such a rare influence, but you're gonna feel it. And when Mars is from the middle of September till the end of October in your 7th house, a person becomes a little bit more reactive to others, or they start attracting Mars-like people into your life, which are a bit more opinionated, try to impose their will on you, a bit more bossy, a bit more conflict can happen, and it's not necessary that it continues that it starts in the middle of September, continues to the end of October. It might take a couple of weeks only from this span, but you will definitely feel it that a little bit more tension between you and another person. There might be some fights as well with you and partner relationships, but also Mars is a sexual planet, like the raw sexuality, so it can increase. I've always felt it in my horoscope when Mars is in my 7th house of relationship, the hormones go up, you know, so you might be fighting and then making up in bed, or you just become more horny overall when Mars is in your 7th house, and you can have such experiences as well. But the other thing is that there can be some competition between you and another, starting from the middle of September or sometime in October, and you have to resolve this competition in some way. But otherwise it can bring into your life younger people, more excitable people, more adventurous, daredevil people. In the worst case scenario, someone who challenges and presses your buttons and makes you angry. In the best case scenario, Mars plays out as young, vivacious, exciting people, or people with youthful energy, adventurous people who take you on an adventure some way, you know. And but if you're trying to lead some negotiations, Mars in the 7th house might be, you know, a little bit of a tough opposition. It might be a little bit hard to get to agreement because Mars wants to do its own plan. It doesn't want to negotiate. Mars wants to do its own thing, you know, so there might be like clash of interest with someone. Just be aware of this in September and October. Okay, another interesting thing, Venus, the planet in September, Venus is in Virgo, which is your 4th house. So whatever Venus is, this is where we're getting a sense of pleasure, a sense of joy in our life, a sense of pleasurable activities as well, a sense of comfort. And 4th house is family, home, parents, property. So when Venus in September is in your 4th house, Gemini, quite a few might want to redecorate at home, improve the appearance of your home, improve the environment, the atmosphere in your home. You might buy some beautiful objects for your property as well. Or you just might feel like spending time at home soothes your soul, soothes you emotionally. The 4th house is here like the house of the soul, you know, the house of feeling content and happy. And when Venus is there, a person feels a little bit more smoother emotionally. And usually a person likes to retreat a little bit, or when going gets tough, when Venus is in the 4th house, a person receives most support from home, from close people, from family people, from a reconnection to their home of origin, or just spending time at home. So lovely time with people at home, and also vehicles. 4th house rules vehicles. This is how you might be relaxing in September, you know, maybe improving something on your vehicle, improving something at home, or just spending time in your private space. 4th house is private space. Or something also can happen positive in regards to your home, to property. Some of you who are trying to relocate, especially Virgo, especially Gemini ascendant people, when Venus is in your 4th house, this is an auspicious time to do it, or to make any changes in regards to home, because Venus helps these things go smoothly. Or it can improve relationships with you and family as well. And then Venus in October, the soother, the nurse, goes into your 5th house, Gemini, which is time to come out and play a little bit more in October. Because 5th house Venus loves being in the 5th house. 5th house is the house of romance, of party, of fun, you know, the house of creativity as well. And there is already focus somehow on creativity because of Mercury being there, and Venus comes and enjoys it. And you come out and play in October. You come out and you invest a lot more. Not only do you invest time for developing your creative skills or making something more useful out of them, but at the same time Venus gives you pleasure out of them. In October when it comes there, Venus will help this facilitate the process of creativity. A person becomes very creative when Venus and Mercury are together in the 5th house. And again, as I say, you don't have to paint, to sing, to dance, or perform. You can just, when you go to a party, you can be just the heart of the party, you know. This is part of creativity, letting your individuality shine out. whether you paint a picture, whether you tell a joke, or whether you just make other laugh, you know. This is part of creativity, letting your real light shine. So when Venus and Mercury are together there in October, there will be a little bit more of you, you know, coming out like that and being a little bit more playful, let's say, more creative, and feeling joy out of this. So maybe getting invited to more parties, to more dates as well. Fourth house, fifth house rules romance as well. Having pleasurable moments with children. That's all right. Having fun with your kids if you have kids, you know, or going to theaters, to cinemas, to performances as well. And October is also oh, and another thing happens at the end of September. The last 10 days of September, there is a very positive and powerful trine aspect between Jupiter and Uranus. Uranus is the planet of sudden, unexpected things happening, and Uranus is a very positive planet which brings new opportunities, and when both combine in an easy aspect, they bring something good to you in whatever house they, unexpectedly most often. And because they happen in your third house, towards the end of September, some Geminis might get a piece of information which is very auspicious for them. If they've been waiting for some news, for some documents to come through some information, they will get it very likely towards the end of September. This is when things, especially if your ascendant is in Gemini, you can receive some good piece of information at the beginning of October, you know, at the end of September. They can find some information which is auspicious for them for the future, which is almost like golden mine that comes to them unexpectedly, which can give them some ideas for something for the future, which can become beneficial to them. So the information that comes to you in September, the beginning of October, might be very positive, very interesting one, which can bring windfall to you. Some communication, some information, maybe someone getting in touch with you, some new contact that you create as well, that can be a source of basically of growth and benefits for you, starting from September now 2014. And this process again will repeat sometime in the winter, and again sometime in the, I'm talking northern hemisphere, and sometime again around June or July 2015. So it's like a almost 8-9 months span of this, that something that happens towards the end of September, some piece of information, maybe some travel that happens, maybe some new contact that you meet, something you find out which will continue to develop positively and bring opportunities to you till, you know, basically maybe again in the winter and again in the spring, summer of 2015. Okay, and in October is eclipse time, and so it doesn't affect Gemini, the eclipse in Aries directly. It happens in your 11th house, the eclipse in Aries, which is, well, so there might be some changes in reevaluating of your social circle, your friendships around October, maybe even from September you feel it, because an eclipse is felt a month before and also a month after. That's why I decided to put September and October together. So there might be 11th house is your social circle, the validation you receive from others, for who you are, from your friends, from some acknowledgement. So there might be a focus there in October. You're receiving some acknowledgement, something coming to fruition, something, because the full moon eclipse, which is happening in October, in the middle of October, brings something to fruition. So a big change in regards to your titles, in recognition, acknowledgement in some way. But it also helps, it also can create a crisis there, because eclipses can go either way, you know. It can bring something to fruition, maybe some friendship, some social circle environment that you've been, because the full moon eclipse means something has played out its role now and it's time to let it go. So might be some detachments from social circle, from friends, from certain people in your life. It's not so much relationships like lovers. It's more like, you know, friends and things like that. And there is another eclipse which is in the 1st degrees of Scorpio. It doesn't affect you directly again, Gemini. You know, that's at least the good thing. You know, those eclipses are not so shaken up for Gemini. Again, they'll shake up a little bit the areas of 11th house, titles, honors, you know, changes in regards to friendships and long-term goals as well. Yeah. So anyway, the eclipse, thankfully, is not affecting you so powerfully. Another thing that is happening, let me just put my head into order. Oh yes, and I want to give you some specific days. Those of you who are born from, who have their ascendant from 10 till 20 degrees in Gemini, just the ascendant sign now. I want to talk about it because Jupiter directly sends a positive aspect to your 7th house cusp of relationships. So if you're Gemini ascendant, Gemini rising from 10 till 20 degrees, or even from 9 till 21 degrees in Gemini, you're having a really auspicious influence of Jupiter in September and October. Some of you will feel it in September, some of you will feel it in October in regards to your 7th house, or something good coming to you from other people. Some of you might meet very important relationship that stays in your life for a long time. Someone that helps them in their life. Some of you might receive support from another person. Even though Mars is in your 7th house, Jupiter influence will be stronger for you. So Jupiter will be this benefic, Jupiter is this benefic, this someone who helps you, someone who opens up new horizon in front of you, someone who, even falling in love when Jupiter aspects the 7th house, is very, very often it triggers important relationships. So if you've had problem in a relationship, the relationship improves somehow, your partner becomes more source of joy and wisdom to you, and abundance and growth. And people that come to your life now, you can meet some new people that come into your life now who can, even if they're there for a short period, they can bring new opportunities to you. They can bring new horizons, open up new horizons to you. So stay open for help from others, stay open to new relationships and people that come into your life, because they'll be important, and they can bring a new awareness to you, new horizons again, as I said. So this is what I see for you in September and October, Gemini. Thank you very much, and please write to me if you have any questions or if you want to share.